Welcome back, friends, to part 2 of this series, attempting to complete Terraria using only 7 damage. Today, we will be cleaning up all the remaining pre-hard mode content and moving into hard mode. My end goal for this video is to acquire a hard mode flying minion. To clean up the pre-hard mode, we will be defeating the remaining bosses, Skeletron, Deerclops, and of course the Wall of Flesh. We will also be acquiring the remaining NPCs, the Clothier and the Mechanic from the dungeon, and the Party Girl from a spider nest. My first objective is to kill Skeletron and harvest the different items from the dungeon. We will also be constructing houses in various biomes to create pylon hubs. Pylons are new items sold by happy townsfolk when there are at least 2 present. When interacted with, you can teleport from one pylon to another. You can only acquire 1 pylon per appropriate biome. There are also a handful of town slimes I'd like to collect while the world is easy. Other than that, I plan on expanding my plant farms and creating a fire blossom farm, moving my gem tree arboretum to the caverns, which was an embarrassing mistake. I also want to collect some remaining accessories, such as the floating island, lava, and informational accessories. I'll talk more about hard mode when we get there. With intros out of the way, let's get going. I start by heading right back to the Queen Bee's arena in order to collect the furniture I used to fight her. I then go to explore the underground jungle. While exploring, I find the Staff of Regrowth, which creates grass on dirt, and more importantly, when used to harvest plants, it increases the yield. We find a water chest, but still don't get the water walking boots. We go further to find another life crystal. Despite having maximum health, these are still useful for crafting heart lanterns. While digging, we run into the Lizard Temple. This is a structure which opens up late into hard mode, but discovering the structure and its entrance in pre-hard mode is valuable because of how dangerous the jungle is once it is enraged. Satisfied with the jungle, I mount my honeyed goggles to see how useful they will be for my exploration of Sky Islands. And, as it turns out, they will be very useful. It is able to fly all the way to space, to my surprise. It takes me no time at all to find a Sky Island, which happens to be a lake, perfect for the quest fish I'm after. Now is a good time to mention that I've been getting quest fish occasionally in order to acquire the unique accessories, as well as the hotline fishing rod for lava fishing. Once I'm finished, I head east to search for the meteorite that fell earlier. It doesn't take me long to find, and I beat it up pretty quickly in order to replace my axe and hammer with the meteor ham axe. I then zoom over to the jungle to start my pylon towns. I collect lots of mahogany and bamboo for these homes. I decide to build the first home by the cave entrance, the second home down by the pond, and the third to top the hill. I install the Dryad, the Witch Doctor, and the Painter here to get the pylon, and it works like a charm. The traveling merchant then sells me the portable cement mixer and the extendo grip, which gives me everything I need left for the Architect Gizmo pack. I head over to the tundra and collect boreal wood. I use it to build a house atop the ice cave entrance, and a house a little to the west. I install the Goblin Tinkerer here, and I intend on putting the mechanic next door. Heading to the ocean, I stop at Attempt Skeletron again to see how I'm standing, but without any real prep, I perish. I make it to the ocean and collect palm wood to build a house on the beach, and another on the water. I wait to install the angler here because I want him close to spawn for now. My other pick for the ocean will be the pirate. Now to use my honeyed goggles to go find floating islands. I like to find as many as I can, even if I find the shiny red balloon, the golden horseshoe, and the celestial magnet, which I'm looking for. Taking off west from the lake I originally discovered, I find a second lake, then a celestial magnet, a strange shallow lake, and a shiny red balloon. I combine the balloon with my bottled cloud to make the cloud a balloon. Then I craft a gravity potion to start exploring east from spawn. I find a second balloon and a golden horseshoe, and then the strangest thing happens. When my gravity potion runs out, I begin to free fall to a speed that would kill me when I hit the ground. I go ahead and use my mirror to return home, but I hit the ground before it pops. The death message appears, but the mirror is successfully used, skipping the death timer. I spawn at half HP as normal as if I died, but I still have my Hornets cast and the War Table buff. Very odd. Satisfied with my floating island excursion, I make up a horseshoe balloon and a blizzard in a balloon. I prepare for the Skeletron fight by stocking up on potions, the staples of course being Restoration, Swiftness, and Iron Skin, and some quality of life potions being Thorns, Shine, and Night Owl. With my Bass statue, Heart Lantern, and Campfire ready, I activate the Old Man's Curse. I begin swinging away with my whip and spawn in the ballistas. The first phase of the fight has me trying to balance damage between each hand. Expert mode makes Skeletron's head take only 1 damage per hit until both hands are destroyed, but if I destroy either hand, Skeletron begins firing homing skulls. Balancing damage between the hands isn't so hard with the whip. If I keep my distance, the whip's last hit should land on the closest hand, causing my minions to target it. Using the slime saddle while the head charges largely prevents me from taking damage from its hands, but it also prevents my ballistas from dealing damage, and I usually do take a hit once the hands reactivate. I'm finally able to take out one hand, then the other right after. Phase 2 start. And it's kind of a wash. Some basic positioning and the many movement accessories I have make it a very simple fight. While Skeletron charges, just jump overhead, back and forth, and while the homing skulls are firing, you can just tap dance back and forth. Here at low health, I remember the umbrella I built, which makes the homing skulls even more of a joke. And that's it. I get the bone glove, which I've heard is kinda good, but I've never bothered using it. I get the possessed skull, which is the master mode pet, which I love, as well as the Skeletron hand grappling hook, which I won't use. Heading into the dungeon, I must keep in mind that spikes are extremely dangerous at this difficulty. To get around them, I'll either destroy them or cover them with stone. I get the mechanic very quickly, and with the clothier from the Skeletron fight, I now have every pre-Hardmode NPC except the stylist. I go ahead and grab some accessories for the grand design later. My first locked chest here nets me the magic missile. I collect some water candles on the way down, and pick up another key from a pot. I get the Muramasa here. An old shaking chest comes across my path, and I get another town slime by unlocking it. I go ahead and craft my last whip for pre-Hardmode, the Spinal Tap, which deals almost double the Snapthorn's base damage with an additional point of tag damage. I go ahead and craft the Rec 3000 as well, with the tally counter I got from a skeleton, meaning I only need the DPS meter to make the Goblin Tech. I head west and deposit the mechanic in the tundra on my way back to the dungeon. I get the dungeon yo-yo Valor, and I finally get the Shadow Key, which will allow me to explore shadow chests in the underworld. At this point, all I need are the alchemy and bewitching tables. For now, I'm setting my sights on Deerclops, and just trying to tie up some loose ends. With the mechanic moved, I head to the tundra and get my pylon, as well as 4 wrenches, 60 wire, and the wire cutters, to craft the grand design. Back in the dungeon, real quick, I grab the Cobalt Shield, which is the last important item from locked chests. Time for the shadow chests. In my first one, I get the Sun Fury, then the Flame Lash, then a Hellwing Bow, then the Shadow Lance, and a Treasure Magnet. And finally, the Flower of Fire and a slice of Hellcake. The only notable loot remaining would be the Ornate Shadow Key and the Demonic Hellcart, which aren't necessary. Not that any of these items really were. Back in the underworld, I hastily throw together a Fire Blossom farm and get it started with some planters and seeds. Onto Deerclops, I return to the Ice Caverns to collect Flink's Fur. The Deer Thing requires 3 Flink's Fur, 5 Demonite ore, and a lens at a Demon Altar. Fur in hand, I go to the Corruption to craft it. I go ahead and summon the Deerclops without any preparation, and it doesn't go so well. Deerclops opens up with a roar that inflicts the slow debuff. He then pushes me into one of the houses, where I get cornered and defeated. I head over to the pylon to travel back to the tundra for more Flink's Fur, and I have to defeat the boss before I can use them. He should despawn in a moment though. I'll just walk there while that happens. Oh, he's still here. Guess I'll give it a second go. I jump around for a while, but die again. Well, the second try was nice and all, but he'll certainly be gone by the time I get back. And he's still here. Yeah, I don't know what was going on here, but after dying 2 more times, I'm able to take him down. He drops the Deerclops Eyeball Pet, the Bone Helm, and the Houndius Shootius. The Bone Helm spawns Shadow Hands to attack nearby enemies, and the Shootius is a sentry that Shootius the Houndius is. Still on the hunt for the Ancient Chisel, I go to the underground desert and pick up the Magic Conch and a second Bass statue. I go ahead and complete my 5th fishing quest, which guarantees the Fuzzy Carrot. To increase my plant gain, I built a Shiverthorn greenhouse in the tundra, a dedicated Daybloom greenhouse in my basement, a Waterleaf greenhouse in the desert, a Moonglow greenhouse in the jungle, a Blinkroot greenhouse in the caverns, a new Arboretum beneath it, and a Fire Blossom greenhouse in the underworld. With that taken care of, I set my sights on a town slime you obtain via fishing during a blood moon. So I consume a blood tear and start fishing. Now, this could take a while, and I got it first try. Nice. In search of the ancient chisel, I delve into the underground desert for an enormous amount of time, but repeatedly find magic conch shells and snake charmer flutes. I cut my losses and head down to the underworld to begin building a bridge to fight the big waffle. After just a little bit, I go ahead and do a damage check on the waff, and find the results to be perfectly within reason. I just need to build a really long bridge. So I go ahead and start collecting hellstone for the molten pickaxe, lava-proof bug net, volcano, and of course, the imp staff. Normally, a sane player would just pop one of many obsidian skin potions obtained throughout the underworld in pots or shadow chests to swim around in the lava to collect hellstone. I am not the average hellstone collector. I enjoy digging around like an ash mole, making pockets of air between the ore pockets, while I collect the roughly 216 hellstone I need. It doesn't take very long. I complete my 10th fishing quest and claim the angler hat before grabbing the remaining obsidian I need to make the hellstone bars. The imp staff deals 22 summon damage, up 7 from the 15 damage my hornet staff dealt. The lava-proof fishing net will get me lava critters, and the volcano is the last piece I need for the Night's Edge. Well after I built the gem tree arboretum, I actually bothered to plant some diamond gemcorns. For the next hour, I put my foot down and set my sights on splitting my attention between the lava charm in the caverns and the ancient chisel in the underground desert. While searching, after getting at least 5 pairs of mining pants, the mining shirt drops. I finally find the lava charm, but no luck as of yet for the chisel. As a quick update for my angler quest progress, I have the angler earring, the high test fishing line, the weather radio, and I just acquired the fisherman's pocket guide. Aside from the angler vest and pants, I am now only missing the tackle box and the sextant. The only thing, really, to do now is to build my really big long stone bridge for the Wall of Flesh. Or so I think. I take a pause from the underworld to collect the bewitching table from the dungeon. This allows me to summon one additional minion. I collect some potions for my first real attempt. The 3 vials, of course, plus Thorns, Shine, Night Owl, and an Inferno potion I picked up from the underworld. I set up at the end of the bridge with a campfire and a heart lantern, while hunting for a voodoo doll. My strategy here is unrefined. I stay fairly close, use my whip as much as possible, and drop ballistas every now and then, while my 4 imps do their job. I don't do horribly. I get him down to a third health when my bridge runs out, and die around 3000 HP. There's a lot of work to do in order to make this viable. One obvious strategy is to simply stretch out the bridge. If I cover the whole underworld with stone, certainly I could beat him. But I'm sure there are some other things I can do first. The first thing I can do to make this easier is try again, immediately, of course, and die, and perform significantly worse. So, in order to prep more, I decided to switch out my ballistas for the Houndius Shootius, which is a higher rate of fire, albeit lower damage. I also head to the jungle to fish for variegated lordfish to make some summoning potions. Next, I go back to the underworld? Right, I get the obsidian rose drop from the fire imps. Then wait, really man? Again? Yeah, as expected, I do even worse than the last time. I mean, I prepared a little more, but did I really think that was all I needed? Okay, time to really finish preparing. This time, I take some of my armored cavefish and make endurance potions, which reduce incoming damage by 10%. I then head over to the corruption and fish up some ebon koi to make wrath potions, which increase outgoing damage by 10%. I also build a bunch of campfires to place along the entirety of the bridge. I try again, and do far better than I have before, getting him down to 1000 HP. I extend the bridge some, try again, and die at 2000 HP, but I know I'm making progress compared to before. I extended the bridge farther out east, grab the pygmy necklace from the witch doctor, which increases my summon count by 1, extend the bridge out west, and go for another try. My potion loadout for this fight includes Regen, Ironskin, and Swiftness, Shine, Thorns, and Night Owl, and I've added the Summoning, Wrath, and Endurance potions. I also switched healing potions to recovery potions for the 15-second reduced healing sickness cooldown. For accessories, I've only switched out my bone helmet, which was only dealing negligible damage to the hungry, for the pygmy necklace. Between my bewitching table, summoning potion, necklace, and armor, I now summon 6 imps at once. As far as strategy, this one was the most precise. I had to keep a fairly specific distance while constantly moving right and jumping to avoid the laser beams. I also had to manage the flying, detached Hungry with my whip, while also target selecting the wall with my imp staff after they're dispatched. Additionally, I very frequently replaced the Houndius Shootius along the bridge as I ran. This was important for dealing consistent damage to the wall, in contrast to my imps, which targeted somewhat randomly. Every now and then, I also jumped up into the rafters to give my thumbs a break from jumping, but I could only do this if I was far enough away from the Hungry, as they go through walls when they're attached. And with that, he's dead. I quickly consume the Demon Heart, an expert mode drop which increases my total number of accessory slots by 1. Back up top, I review the Sorcerer's Emblem, useless, the Laser Rifle, useless, and the Pwn Hammer, which lets me break demon altars to collect hard mode ores. My first real objective for hard mode is simple. I will be collecting all the necessary ingredients for the Ankh Charm. To foster this objective, I begin heading towards the underground tundra for my first set of gear, the spider armor and staff. I won't bother with the Queen Spider staff, as its damage seems comparable enough to the Houndius Shootius. We'll see if I come back to that. I figure while I'm here farming spider fangs from Black Recluse in a spider den, I should mention some hard mode milestones I plan on completing before achieving the goal of this video. For one, I intend on collecting all remaining NPCs, the Stylist, obviously, plus the Pirate, Steampunker, Tax Collector, Truffle, and Wizard. The Cyborg Princess will have to wait. 47 spider fangs later, I go ahead and craft the spider armor to make finishing up the grind a little easier, and with an additional 16, I craft the spider staff. Look at me and the boys. To show off my diamond farm, I've waited for it to regrow, and harvesting it returns an entire 8 diamonds. That's an entire diamond per tree. Anyway, I head down to the underworld, and happen to find the first of probably many gelatin crystals. These bulbous little shards are the spawn item for the queen slime, and look like this. Jumping down, I find exactly what I'm looking for, the tortured soul, which my spiders immediately rip to shreds. Luckily, I found another shortly after, and quickly use the purification powder before my spiders can feast. Doing this, I unlock the Tax Collector, which is probably the most useless of the NPCs. Fitting. On my next fishing quest, I acquire the Fishing Bobber, which grants a bonus 10 fishing power. Combining it with 5 stars makes it glow. Speaking of fishing quests, my very next one is my 20th, granting me the fishing pants and completing the set. All I need now is the tackle box. Next up, I decide to work on the Ankh Charm, so I head down to the local marble room and kill a bunch of Medusa, eventually collecting the Pocket Mirror, which grants immunity to Stoned, a status exclusive to Medusa, whom I will probably never need to fight again. Brilliant. I head west during a blizzard to fight a frost golem to obtain a frost core in order to craft the Cool Whip. I get him trapped in this little alcove and let my spiders do all the work. I won't be crafting the whip for a while, as I need a mithril anvil and some souls of light and night first. I head east towards the hallowed desert so I can farm light mummies for the trifold map and pixies for both the megaphone and the fast clock. I'm able to get a couple fast clocks to drop, and as morning comes, a desert key drops. The desert key allows me open the desert chest in the dungeon after Plantera is defeated, unlocking a powerful sentry. While digging out a little pond for fishing, a light mummy finally drops the trifold map. I got it after 93 of these mummies despite the 1 in 50 drop chance, so not super lucky. At home, I go ahead and combine the trifold map with a fast clock to make the plan, granting me immunity to slow and confusion. I decide I want to see how the Queen Slime fight treats me, and I learn two things between my two attempts in the fight, my second attempt making it to the second phase. For one, my whip needs an upgrade. If I had the Cool Whip, for instance, I might be able to handle the stray slimes better. And second, my minions suffer excessively from airborne targets, so I'll need to put walls behind my arena to make a fight viable. Soon after, I get the bottomless water bucket from the angler, which is exactly what it sounds like. This is an important tool, as you want 300 tiles for optimal fishing, with just a couple exceptions, being the ocean and honey. Next up, I use my magic conch to get to the junglified ocean. In order to begin looking for the Aether biome, I start right on the beach and just dig. The Aether biome is fairly large and distinct, and always spawns on jungle side. With great luck, I find the Aether biome in no time at all. The shimmer here allows me to create some items that grant permanent buffs, as well as shifting certain accessories into each other. For instance, tossing in a star cloak grants the chromatic cloak, which grants immunity to shimmering. I also toss in a mana crystal for the arcane crystal, which reduces the amount of time required before mana begins regenerating after using mana. Tossing in a life crystal grants the vital crystal, a permanent 20% upgrade to health regeneration. The sorcerer emblem grants the summoner emblem. The emblems can be tossed in an infinite amount of times to obtain any other emblem you need. Any piece of fruit, in my case an apple, grants ambrosia, which increases mining, tile placement, and wall placement speed by 5%. I head to the corruption for the blindfold, which drops from corrupt slimes and slimelings, plus the corruptors, which drop vitamins. I'm also beginning to wall in the background of this arena. After an embarrassing death, a blindfold drops from a slimeling, and I go to grab it. A blood moon starts, which is a good opportunity to farm werewolves for the moon charm, which I get here, and the adhesive bandage, which I don't get. I also go fishing and check on the Dread Nautilus, who rips me apart with no question, letting me know that I will need to wait on that fight. I do not manage to get the adhesive bandage to drop, but the moon charm is more important. Back to the corruption, I finally get my first vitamins to drop. Fishing out west, my spiders passively farm not one, but 2 megaphones from the dark mummies. I take one of the megaphones to the Aether and shimmer it into a Nazar to craft the Counter Curse mantra. I head east to the jungle to farm Bazours. The Hornet, Moss Hornet, and Toxic Sludge all drop it, so it shouldn't be long. It takes about 60 Moss Hornets for the first Bazour, and not even 10 later to get the second one. The second Bazour shimmers into an adhesive bandage to make the medicated bandage. The only thing left for the Ankh charm is the armor polish, which drops from some blue armored skeletons in the caverns. But after trying to farm these for a few minutes, I decided killing a few more corruptors for a second set of vitamins will probably be faster. It pays off, as I get a second vitamins shortly, shimmer them into armor polish, and make the armor bracing. Combining all these things together grants the powerful Ankh charm, and shoving that into an obsidian shield improves it further. The Ankh shield provides immunity to bleeding, broken armor, burning, confused, curse, darkness, stoned, poisoned, silenced, slow, weak, and chilled. The Ankh shield does not protect from withered armor, ichor, acid venom, cursed inferno, blackout, electrified, distorted, or moonbite, all of which have no way to provide immunity. I go ahead and kill a wyvern for some more fight souls. With traveling merchant around, I get a devious idea. I take the grand plan to wire up a bat statue to a lever and use the spawned bats to murder the merchant. Throwing his hat into the shimmer grants the peddler's satchel, which permanently increases the traveling merchant's inventory. I head over to the ocean next to fish up some crates. I'm looking for titanium crates, seaside crates, but the occasional mithril and pearlwood crates are just fine. Ideally, I acquire some mithril bars and titanium or adamantite ore to create the mithril anvil or the hard mode furnace. I'm fishing up seaside crates with elusive water-walking boots. While fishing, I open up a titanium crate to reveal the enchanted sword, the rarest of the 10 ultimate sword fragments, acquired exclusively through fishing gold and titanium crates. After fishing for much too long, I give up for now after collecting enough metals for the hard mode furniture. I build a mithril anvil, use a copper short sword and helmet I have lying around to transform a green slime into the squire slime, and craft a titanium forge. I go ahead and use the adamantite bars to craft the adamantite drill, which suffers a -1 range in exchange for higher digging speed. I also craft my first pair of wings, the fairy wings. A very basic set using only 99 pixie dust and 20 souls of flight. I replaced the bone helm with the wings. I also exchanged the blue horseshoe balloon for the charm of myths. I also use 8 souls of night, 8 souls of light, and the frost core from earlier with the mithril anvil to craft the cool whip. A 20 damage improvement from the spinal tap. The cool whip loses 1 tag damage, but when hitting an enemy, the whip spawns a unique snowflake summon for 2 seconds. With my new gear, I go after the queen slime one more time, and the cool whip shows itself off, easily killing off the queen's minions as they spawn. I make it to phase 2 with little issue, but still suffer from low survivability. I also go ahead and craft a mechanical skull, as the ones I thought I was saving seem to have vanished. My next objective is the pirate staff. In order to acquire a pirate map, I need to break at least 1 demon altar. I go ahead and break 3 to bless the world with each hardmode ore for this world. Completing my 25th fishing quest, I acquire the golden fishing rod, which has the highest fishing power in the game. Still waiting on the tackle box though. I go ahead and take another shot at Skeletron Prime, but while my damage is alright, I don't think I'm quite ready. After more than 2 hours of fishing in the ocean, I finally get the water walking boots. This is a huge relief, as apart from the tackle box and a lot of stuff, it's the last accessory I need to really farm for. I combine it with the molten skull rose to craft the lava waders, then smash it together with the frost spark boots to make the Terra Spark boots. After putting that together, I get the signal that the pirates are approaching. This is perfect. All I need now is to kill a few captains, maybe a pirate ship or 2, and it's a 6% chance from the ships, and a 0.4% chance from captains. I did not have fun dying numerous times to this event. I barely killed any pirate captains and couldn't take out a single pirate ship. I farm another map and try again, with similar results, though I'm able to take out a pirate ship this time, acquiring the black spot mount, which grants infinite flight. While farming pirate maps, I acquire a diving helmet from a shark and I combine it with the flipper to make diving gear. Then shove the jellyfish necklace inside that to make the jellyfish diving gear. I then run over to the dungeon to nab an alchemy table, which gives me a chance to not consume potion materials during crafting. Here, I set up a little stone hut and walk away for 35 minutes, granting me untold riches and 3 pirate maps. For my next invasion, I get the discount card, which reduces NPC shop prices by 20% when equipped. As far as strategy goes, this is fairly simple. For one, make sure to put up banners of all the different characters that appear once you've gotten your 50 kills. This doubles damage dealt and decreases incoming damage by 50% for each enemy. When pirate captains appeared, I typically fled into the house and allowed my spiders and ballistas to take care of them slowly. For my arena, I've constructed walls that are just too high for the pirates to jump over, trapping them above my base so they don't despawn when I die. In this example of me killing a pirate safely, I finally get the pirate staff. This took an incredible amount of time, and let me say, after recording the next 5 hours of gameplay before scripting this, I absolutely loathe this staff. As far as stats, it deals 58 summon damage with my setup, a bonus 20 damage from the spider staff. This is where the benefits end. I don't have any footage here showing it, but I found that if you leave the ground while the pirates are resetting back to you, they will absolutely refuse to engage nearby enemies until you tap the ground. This, combined with their unique attack animation, which has them actively swing their sword before being able to deal damage, in contrast to simple contact damage of other summons, makes them almost totally worthless when fighting flying enemies. This is particularly upsetting when the only options available for upgrades are the Blade Staff from the Queen Slime, the Optic Staff from the Twins, and the Sanguine Staff from the Dreadnoughtalus, all chronically flying bosses. Oh, I also got the Lucky Coin from the Pirate Invasion. I go ahead and do the Frost Legion, but Snowmen just dropped Snowblocks. I mostly did this event for posterity, but it also allows Santa Claus to move in. I attack the Twins and deal quite a bit of damage, but without grinding this boss, I'm not going to get very close. So I try the Queen Slime, and while the first phase goes by quickly, the second phase is still a wash. So I try Dreadnoughtalus, but the spawn condition is obnoxious, and I don't get a single spawn all night. And this is where I stood. With my new staff, all 3 fights are going the exact same way. It's now a race to see which of the 3 I can kill first. Call it a skill issue. I head off to the ice to get the Queen Spider staff, and it doesn't take me long. I go ahead and take a break from bosses and loot to build myself an artificial desert. Deserts need 1500 sand blocks, so I get some purification powder, head to the desert, and begin mining. I make a platform about 120 blocks long and 13 blocks high to make a little more than 1500 square blocks. Toss a 300 square puddle in the middle, and I've got an oasis. Look at that pearl. I built another platform next to this, slap 160 mud blocks onto it, build a little shack, and plant some mushroom grass seeds to get an artificial glowing mushroom biome so the truffle can move in. I figure while I'm building, I can shore up my queen slime arena a little. I decided it would be best to just mostly level out the arena and make sure the slopes are smooth. I head up my rope to look for the clumsy slime, and upon finding her, I slap her open just as the party starts. The only town slime I need now is the diva slime. I decide, finally, that the queen slime is my target, and I actually start to get good at the fight. I get her health down to 6k, which is by far my best, and it gives me real hope that the end is near. Mind you, I've fought the queen slime in the second phase about a dozen times now. For every inch of an edge, I purchase an imbuing station from the witch doctor in order to make cursed flame flasks, which give my whip the cursed inferno debuff, which inflicts 24 HP per second of damage. The last thing I need to perfect my arena is none other than the nurse, who I have been avoiding the use of during boss fights up to this point. I have 20 platinum, and it only costs about 5 gold to instantaneously and without cooldown heal the 400 hit points my character has. I decide the Stinger necklace will be better than the Ankh shield. The necklace provides 5 armor penetration and inflicts beads when I take damage. Plus, the queen slime does not inflict status effects. With the truffle moved in, potions ready, and a dream, I decide it's time to finish off the queen slime once and for all. On my next attempt, I get her all the way down to 2600 HP. Just gotta survive a little longer. For this fight, I'm using the 3 vials plus Wrath and Endurance. By this point, I'd run out of summoner potions, so we're just gonna go with 6 pirate minions. I'm also using the new cursed flame flasks. I have my queen spider sentries set up on either side of the pond for maximum coverage. They will target the little slimes when they pop up to take them out quicker. For phase 1, I try to keep her in the water as much as possible. She doesn't jump as high, her projectiles can't escape, and the little slimes she spawns can't fire projectiles unless they're on solid ground. For my movement, I'm jumping forth and landing as much as possible. I want to be moving constantly, so that when Queen Slime teleports, I don't get hit. I've also mentioned previously that the pirates have a really bad latching problem, where if they're trying to return to me, they won't target anything until I've landed. There are 3 slimelings that spawn when the queen takes damage. A pink slime that shoots out small, bouncing gel projectiles. A blue, spiky slime that fires crystal shards in a cone above it, and a blue, flying slime that just chases after you. It's important to move toward the major arena before phase 2 begins, as the slope I've created makes escaping to the nurse more difficult when the queen is flying. I place down new queen spiders immediately. The eggs they fire spawn spiders that will chase down the slimelings while you're dodging the queen in the air. The queen honestly isn't very dangerous, and as hard mode bosses go, there's a reason I ultimately chose her. She only has 3 attacks in phase 2. She doesn't attempt to deal contact damage unless she uses her first attack, the slam, where when you get beneath her, she will come straight down and create a shockwave that can hit you even if you're in the air. Her second attack is just the 3 slimeling types, which are functionally identical to phase 1, spawning only when you deal damage to the queen. Her third attack is the bouncing regal gel projectiles. She fires 10 orbs away from her center, which bounce 1 time, then break when they contact the ground again. It is important to keep most of your focus on these balls, as dodging them successfully will likely make or break your attempt. It's important to deal as much damage as possible with the whip, as the pirates spend most of the time just chasing the queen rather than dealing damage. That said, landing very often is important to try and get them to engage, as they can deal huge amount of damage to her massive body when she slams down. As an alternative to the nurse, I recommend building a floating house near platforms in your arena, so you can use a bed as a teleport beacon, allowing you to escape sticky situations quickly. And that's all she wrote. Now for the moment of truth. The Queen Slime herself has a base 25% chance to drop the Blade Staff, but the Queen Slime Treasure Bag has a 33% chance to drop it. And I got it. A whopping 9 summon damage. A massive improvement. I also got the Crystal Assassin Hood and pants. the expert volatile gelatin, the regal delicacy, and some sparkle slime balloons. I, of course, head straight to the shimmer pool and toss in the sparkle slime balloon to get the final town slime, the diva slime sherbet. Have a pet. Combining the royal delight from the king slime with the regal delicacy from the queen slime grants the resplendent dessert, which summons adorable little prince and princess slimes. Oh, look at them go! And with that, I'll be signing off. With my first hard mode boss out of the way, and almost every collectible item pre-Plantera acquired, we're looking at what will probably amount to a boss rush next episode. Hope to see you there. I do not manage to get the adhesive bandage to drop, but the moon charm is more important. Back at the corruption. Oh no. And take a quick pause from the underworld to collect the bewitching. The bewitching! I figure while I'm farming, I like farmer. Ready. I take a pause. I start by heading right back to the Queen Bee's arena in order. I extend the bridge farther out east, grab the pygmy necklace, piggy necklace. I build another platform next to this, slap 160 mud blocks onto it, build a little shack, and put some in. I head over to the tundra and collect boreal wood. I use it to build a house atop the ice cave entrance, and a house a little to the west. I install the goblin tinkerer here, and I intend on putting the. I figure while I'm here, farming spider fangs for the bark. The start of this is really hard to do. I don't know why. I head west and deposit the mechanic in the tundra on my way back to the dungeon. I get the dungeon yo-yo, the yo-yo dungeon.